Welcome back to Fox Eyes on the Hill Live this Sunday morning. We're continuing to follow the breaking news this morning out of Iran. What will the impact of the U.S. bombing of the nuclear sites in Iran have here at home? Our next guest covers national politics for Axios. Alex Thompson is just out with a new book co-written with Jake Tapper. It's called Original Sin, President Biden's Decline and Its Cover-Up. Disastrous choice to run again. Of course, a lot of people have been talking about this book, Alex. We're going to talk about it in just a moment. But I want to start off on the news of this morning. President Trump had said he was going to make this decision in 2 weeks. A lot of people kind of chuckled about that because the president had said in the past 2 weeks this and 2 weeks that, and things kind of went by the wayside. This wasn't 2 weeks. This, you know, depending on how you set your calendar, this might have been 2 days.
Yeah, it was clearly a head fake.
How big of a role did Benjamin Netanyahu play in this decision, or did the U.S. make this assessment on its own?
And Benjamin Netanyahu has obviously made this a priority, not just since October 7th of last year, but for over a dozen years. And he has leveraged his relationship with President Trump, which has been very, very close, with the exception of after the 2020 election. But he's clearly leveraged this relationship to get to the point that the U.S. now actually made strikes on Iran.
I follow you on that. You cover politics.
Yeah.
There was a political element into this, in that the president ran in this campaign previously, saying that he was going to end wars and not get the United States into foreign entanglements. The United States just launched one of its biggest bombing missions in history. No matter how you look at it, that is a foreign entanglement. This has caused problems within Republican circles, especially in MAGA world, too. Is this a long-term problem, or how this turns out going to determine the depth of this split within the Republican Party?
Donald Trump has never been as non-interventionist as some of his supporters would actually like him to be. People like J.D. Vance, Tucker Carlson have sort of tried to create this intellectual infrastructure around Donald Trump's instincts. But Donald Trump also made strikes in Iran in his last term when he killed Soleimani. So Donald Trump has always had a hawkish streak, and it'll be interesting to see how this continues to divide the party.
Let's get to the book. Obviously, every campaign is followed up by campaign books. Yours has been the talk of this town. What have you made of the reaction within Democratic circles to how they are dealing with not only the fallout of this book, but these conversations that they clearly had on their own, that they kept to themselves, and only now are going at each other about?
I think most Democratic lawmakers just sort of want to yada, yada, yada their way through this and try to look at other reasons that they lost the 2024 election, or even if they privately acknowledge, hey, you see some of them say this, hey, Joe Biden shouldn't have run for re-election, but we have to look forward. They clearly just want to focus on Trump and not have, an open conversation in public about this.
What would the alternative had looked like had Joe Biden said, not only am I not going to run, but I'm resigning the office of the President of the United States, and effective immediately, Kamala Harris last summer would have become the president? Were there alternative scenarios that were ever discussed about a way out of where they found themselves last summer, which is almost exactly a year ago now?
I mean, in the inner circle of Joe Biden's world, there was never a discussion, as far as we know, of actually resigning. And I don't think there was really ever any serious consideration. You have to remember that many of the people around Joe Biden still think he could be president until January of 2029. That being said, the other potential scenario that could have happened is he didn't endorse Kamala Harris. Because once Joe Biden endorsed her, he essentially gave her his entire campaign infrastructure and $100 million, and essentially shut down any competition.
When I had covered the State of the Union previously, at the beginning of last year, people said that was classic Joe Biden. He was vibrant, he was energetic, he had put these concerns to rest. Clearly, between then and July, things had changed. Did the staff notice this as well?
The staff noticed it even before the State of the Union. And actually, we have a scene in the book of the same night at the State of the Union, staffers saw what, for lack of a better term, debate Biden even later that night. The thing is, like, a lot of old people, you have good hours and bad hours, good days and bad days. The ratio started changing in a really negative way, staff noticed, in mid to late 2023. Yeah. And then essentially they were trying to manage his energy and time, and they thought maybe you'd have a similar State of the Union performance at the debate.
Alex Thompson is the co-author of the book everybody's talking about right now. He is the national political correspondent for Axios. There it is right there, Original Sin. We thank you so much. An incredible piece of reporting, and I know a lot of people are going to be reading this book this summer, so thank you.
Great being here.